All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mamas and papas, everyone listening to us right about now. This is Budweiser's Kings of Football show coming to you live and direct on your YouTube screens, on your TV screens, as well as on our X Space. I am Folajimi Oluwasegun James Akinshola, but you can simply call me King Jimmy because, yes, I do sit at the top of the table on this show, even on top of the table in the Premier League. Yes, my team, the Arsenal. Last week, he said he would rather lose to Liverpool than see Arsenal take advantage of Manchester United beating Liverpool to win the title. He's here today to defend his statements. Biola Kazim is with me in the studio. Biola,
hey, Jimmy. Great to be here. And there's nothing to defend. It was a statement.
Why would you say that?
I will make it again any day,
but come on,
of the week.
Have some pride.
In what?
In Manchester United.
I have a lot of pride in Manchester United.
So why not on that day? You didn't have that day?
No, it's a situation.
What kind of situation will make you want your team to lose?
No, I don't want my team to lose. I'm just saying that I'd rather Liverpool have 3 points so that they can go on to win the league title.
So how would they get the 3 points if you don't lose?
Who can win other games?
But I'll take it anyways. I
don't want Arsenal to win the league before Manchester United.
I can only imagine. It's looking ever so much like it.
Nah, it's looking like it, but we'll do what we can to stop it.
Definitely. Now, we do have a special guest in studio. We've had her on the show before. She's either taking someone to go play a football game out there in London, or she's out there looking for, hustling and hustling. Get me? Because she's such a very industrious person. She's always up and about. And it is great to have her in the studio today, clearing her busy schedule to come and be with us here. She is an ex-international. She is, of course, a super Falcon to the end of time. Ladies and gentlemen, a striker you would love and desire to have on your team, as the name implies. Please welcome Desire Oparazonie. How you doing, baby girl?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to see you.
Jimmy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, last time I saw you were out and about, celebrating, having a good time.
Every once in a while you go out there
you need to turn up.
Yeah, very important.
Having said that, you are a Manchester United fan. You can tell me congratulations. I appreciate the love.
For what exactly?
Calm down. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. So relax.
For what exactly?
For being an Arsenal fan.
It's not done yet.
This is where I'm looking for accolades everywhere.
You guys are unbelievable set of people.
But speaking of accolades, ladies and gentlemen, before we even go into the Premier League, as is our main focus, we cannot have you here and not talk about the accolades that we need to give our Super Falcons for qualifying for the Olympic Games that will be held later this year in Paris. Just talk to us about, just seeing the girls go through winning in Abuja and then going all the way to South Africa to secure the tickets. What does that mean for Nigeria?
I mean, it means a lot. For lack of a better word, we've chased this ticket for over 16 years now. Yeah. And every time we try, we hit the rock ever since the last time. That was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been tough, really. We've been to every other tournament, World Cup, All African Games, Nations Cup, and for majority of the team, none of them have ever experienced the World Cup, apart from Tochukwu, the second goalkeeper, So it means a lot. The players, this is one tournament they've always wanted to play in, myself inclusive, but unfortunately...
Situations.
So it means a lot. It means a lot, and I'm happy for the girls that they were able to pick up the ticket this time.
Definitely. I mean, I was just talking about it off camera before we went on, before we came live, that the representation of Nigeria at the Olympics is mainly pushed by the women. If you consider that the female basketball team is also the only representative in the basketball for Nigeria, the female football team is the only representative in the football events for Nigeria. Our hopes in athletics lie with our women. Shout out to Toby Amasan. And of course, even in terms of how we project ourselves to the rest of the world. I think our women are literally the ones that are pushing the narrative of what Nigeria should be seen as. And I must say congratulations to the Super Falcons as they forge ahead. And please pass on the message to the girls. We're rooting for them. We're excited to see what they're going to be doing. But my excitement lives in the Premier League. All right, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be getting a chance to win lots and lots of prizes on the show. Remember, our Predict and Win is still active. We're going to be telling you all about that shortly. We're also going to be giving you a chance to win on YouTube as well as on our X Space. So keep it locked right here as we'll be giving different variants of prizes. But particularly, remember, the leaderboard is still available. At the end of the season, someone is going home with ₦1 million or even 500, 250. Who's going to be taking that money away? Well, it could be you, it could be me. Well, it cannot be certain people that have not been doing it all season long. If you just want to do it for this week, then of course you have 5K credit to your name if you're able to be the number one person for this week. So get on the platform. I'll tell you all about it when we get there. But right now, let's get into our hot topic of the day. I know all of you on our X Space are excited. I know we're going to get to you shortly. But I want to talk about something that was record-breaking last season.
Yeah.
In the season that was before this, to 2022-2023, records were broken for the highest goal scored in the Premier League. This was done by Erling Haaland, which was his debut season in the Premier League. He seemed unstoppable, and Manchester City ultimately went on to win the treble, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this season is not exactly the same Erling Haaland, is it? Is this because he's not the great player that we've always known him to be, or is it down to the way Manchester City are playing this year? A lot of it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
It's a few things. First of all, when teams achieve the kind of thing that City achieved last season, typically they fall off a little bit.
Okay.
Most teams actually even fall off worse than Man City have done. Don't forget they won a treble, right?
Right.
And so for you to win a treble, players perform, and I'm sure Desire would be able to speak more to this. They perform at an incredibly high level for a long time. It's not very sustainable. And typically, after you do that for a year and you've achieved literally everything, sometimes, even without you deliberately doing it, performances just trail off a little bit. That's why I think City have lost, 4 games this season. Typically, they don't lose anything close to that every season. Max 1 or 2, but they've lost, I think, 4 league games. We've seen them in games where they just don't really look as City typically would look. So I say that to mean that across board, apart from maybe Rodri, and maybe, surprisingly, Ederson as well, whose performances went up a bit, you can almost suggest that across board, and Phil Foden as well, maybe everybody's performance just dropped off a bit. It will show more in Haaland because obviously he set incredibly high standards for himself, by breaking that record in his first season. But the point I'm trying to make is that after the kind of first season that he had, individually and collectively as a season, as a team, I imagine that some form of drop-off should be expected, this season. I will add in as well that he suffered some injuries this season.
Fair enough.
That affects momentum, right?
Was he injury-free last season?
Mostly, yes. But this is he's been out more frequently
at least twice this season.
Exactly. I don't remember that happening last season. And there are injuries where it's not like he needed surgery. He would just need recovery time. That would suggest me that either muscle injuries or just exertion where he just needs, some time to ramp up his energy.
As a striker, what do you think is missing this season for Haaland?
Oh, I think first off, his first season with Man City, I think he was excited being at Man City. That also contributed
brought the best out of him.
Yeah, brought the best out of him and all of that. This season, like he rightly mentioned, he's had a couple of injuries that have kept him out for a period of time. I think that also has a way of messing up
with your mindset.
Your mindset and your performance and all of that. Because I've seen him this season that there are some one-on-one goal chances that he would normally score last season, but this season
1-0 where there will be nobody in the what game was it against Arsenal?
Yes, against Arsenal.
An empty net.
Yeah,
he wanted to pass, and Haaland would never second guess himself.
He goes for goal.
Even when you remember there was a time he would do some acrobatic stuff in awkward positions that you never imagined.
And he
was like a zombie last season.
So it looked like there was a confidence that I can do all things. This season, there's a second guessing factor to it.
True.
Yeah.
There's so many facets to what makes a striker great, because we're talking about him.
Yeah.
there are other factors to it. He's also been mentioned that his touches on the ball are not enough. He doesn't get involved enough in the game
His
for him to
hold-up
get into
play.
rhythm
Yeah.
when it comes to that big moment.
Yeah, I
But
was
he
gonna
didn't
come
get
to
as
that.
much touches last season either. So that kind of doesn't really follow
Track.
for me.
Yeah.
But what is pivotal for me is the providers of his goals last season. Last season, Kevin De Bruyne played a lot of games.
Yep.
And which meant there was a connection, a consistency of provision of passes. This season, Phil Foden has taken up that position. I'm sorry if you disagree, but Phil Foden is not selfish, but is more of a find a way first before finding a pass.
Yeah.
He's going to look to open up space for himself to get open. If he can't, he'll use the pass to get open again. He's not like a De Bruyne that is first, is there a pass? Before, is there a path for him? So is that part of the reason? Because the provision of the assist is a key factor in how a striker performs.
True.
So Kevin De Bruyne's injury, is it a factor for you? And if saying that, what kind of striker is he though?
Oh,
If you're
it's-
dependent on somebody providing pass for you to be great, then
Yeah.
what kind of striker are you though?
But every striker requires that.
I mean,
Yeah,
we know of the
that-
greats.
that's true.
Monsieur.
That's true.
It-
Because
they were never
because
dependent
even-
on one assist manager.
Yeah.
Not one strike. Lionel Messi had never had his short bet. I say Lionel Messi because it's out of this world.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo out of this world.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to a Benzema. You can't say Benzema was dependent on somebody to pass him the ball.
So, I mean,
You can't say
I'll let
Lewandowski
I'll let
was
Desire go.
dependent on someone to pass him the
I'm
ball.
even thinking about Didier Drogba, for
He
example.
was never wait
you
for
know?
someone to give him
Yeah.
a pass. So I say to you, what kind of striker is Erling Haaland?
Oh, it's like you know, strikers are different.
100%,
Everybody can't play the
100%.
same,
I'm
the
not
same
taking anything
pattern
away
of
from
football.
him. I just want to know,
you know,
what kind of.
So now that when his supply is cut off, it's
He's not the
difficult for
same
him to
player.
perform.
Yeah.
You know, so now what Man City needs to do is when Kevin De Bruyne is not playing, they need to get someone close to Kelvin who can actually make those supplies to him and all of that.
Yeah.
And again, it's the EPL.
Right.
They would have taken out the whole season to study him.
Fair enough. The
You
EPL
know,
does
so-
that. You
exactly.
get found
So
out real quick. In fact, towards the end of last season, I think they started finding out how to defend him. A couple
Yeah.
of games he played in, some defenders found a way to shut him out.
just
whatever it is.
what Real Madrid did against him.
The same thing Arsenal
Yeah.
do to him regularly. He has had a poor time, especially playing against Saliba and Gabriel, as it were. I'm going to go straight into our X space right now because obviously this is a topic that I'm sure a lot of you want to have your opinion on and you want to have your thoughts shared on this. I'm going to let a couple of you in right now. Creed, Nigerian Scouser, Asuzu. I'm calling your name doesn't mean you just start talking, yo. Just letting all y'all in. Remember, our X space is where, of course, we get comments and feedback on the topics we are treating on the show. Remember, the topic today is which Erling Haaland do we have this season? Last season, which was better? The one we had last season, the record breaker, or the one that is present this season? What is the reason for the proverbial drop-off? If you have an opinion to share, please raise your hand on the space so I can come to you. Nigerian Scouser, let me go to a name I'm familiar with. Erling Haaland of last season compared to Erling Haaland of this season. What do you see and what's different?
Okay, yeah. So, like Miss Desire just said earlier, he was excited when he first joined Man City last season. Being his first season, first time we had seen him in the EPL. On the size of the other clubs, it was new to them as well. So, like you also said, Jimmy, some clubs later found out how to deal with the problem that was Erling Haaland. So last season it was a 50-50 thing. It could have gone bad, it could have gone really well, like it eventually did. Since he was new, nobody knew how to deal with that. City settled faster than we thought they would, and then the presence of De Bruyne, that is just brilliant to any striker in this world, made it quite easy for Haaland to settle. But this season, the injuries to not just Haaland, but De Bruyne has taken that brilliant factor out of it now. And Haaland is the kind of striker that he's similar to Zlatan, only in the sense that they are physically just blessed, they are athletically blessed.
But Zlatan kind of creates his own goals, which is the question we're asking about Erling Haaland. It seems that he's almost unable to create either goal scoring opportunities or just create a goal on his own. I can't remember the last time I seen him go on a run and actually score.
So he's not that kind of player. He will
Right.
never be that kind of player.
Right.
I don't think in his talent and also in his development, those kind of things were emphasized. If you watch people like Benzema, like you mentioned, these are players who you watch how they play and you know that they can play as midfielders. They are proper footballers. There's technique, there's control, they can pass, they have great football IQ. Erling Haaland is just a finisher. There are players like that. Ruud van Nistelrooy, there's a long litany of players who are built that way. And so if we have expectations of him to create goals for himself, that's simply never going to happen. But if he plays in very good teams, and we've seen that happen when it was at Salzburg, it was at Dortmund, and now at Manchester City, that if he gets chances, there's no better player in the world to get on the end of chances, right now than, Erling Haaland. So I think the best way to look at him is how he is, not how he could be. He's never going to be that player.
And build the team around him.
Exactly. He's never going to be that player who's going to have the technique of a Karim Benzema, who's going to be comfortable on the ball, for instance, like a Jesus. You watch Gabriel Jesus, and you know that he can literally play any position on the pitch.
100%.
Erling Haaland is not going to be that. The only place he can play is a number 9. All he can do is score goals, not much else.
Do you think the criticism he faces is unfair or
Of course,
harsh?
they're unfair and they're unjust.
He's
He's good
I
enough
don't know
to
if it's
play in his
unfair.
own
You
light.
play for the biggest
And
club in the
you know-
world. You
and
came
he scores-
in
and he
as
scores
a record
and he scores a
breaker.
lot of goals.
So now they're comparing you to a player in the championship. I mean, that's harsh by Roy Keane.
So
if I
I'll
may
say something to you
But
before.
some of this criticism, they come from people who doesn't really understand the ethics of football. Look at how he just dissected the kind of player he is now. A lot of people don't know that. They just want you to, do the magic on the field without actually realizing what you're capable of.
But when
doing.
you do the magic, you're celebrated as everything, not just one thing.
But he scored 38 goals. He broke the league record. That he was celebrated for that.
Yeah.
So he has defined his own celebration by scoring
You
goals.
had a point you wanted to get
The
to.
other point I was trying to make is that
Yes.
I don't take harsh criticism of English ex-players seriously. If you
Okay,
ask Roy
okay.
Keane about Marcus Rashford, he would never compare Rashford to a League One player, even though Rashford's
performances
Performance
this
this
season
season
have
is
been worse than
amateur
some League
level.
One players.
they would, if you say Rashford, they will say, oh, he's a world-class player. He just needs a good manager. Oh, he needs to be smiling. But when the foreigners come into the, and I'm not canvassing this to be, I'm just saying that this is the lens
Yeah.
through which they look at foreign players generally. They are a bit
100%.
harsher
Yeah.
on foreign players, and they are very, very generous and very complimentary, of
Their own
English-born
players,
players.
yeah.
The reality of the matter is that there is nothing in how Erling Haaland plays. There's nothing in his results. There's nothing in his career so far that warrants comparing him to a League One player. It is unfair, it's unjust, it's unnecessary. Particularly because I've never seen Roy Keane being that harsh
On
on someone
anyone
like
else.
Marcus Rashford, whose performances rightly should be compared to those players.
Yeah.
I mean, would we have said if you're saying Erling Haaland performance in certain games has been like Division 1 players?
What would you say, Marcus Rashford?
What would we have said of someone like Francis Jeffers back in the day?
Do you get?
It's highly unfair.
It's unnecessary.
There's no balance to
It's
it.
absolutely unnecessary.
I don't subscribe to it at all.
He's endemic in how they approach foreign players.
Well, we know these things. We
Yeah.
know how they project their players. So
I mean, that's why they always have the
Unfortunately,
British,
because they have a
British
global
tax on
profile,
it.
Yeah.
because they have a
Players.
global profile, the things that they say are sound bites become topics for discussions
Yeah.
across
Right.
the world, just like we are discussing now.
Yeah.
True.
I don't think there's any basis for anyone to look at Erling Haaland and decide that he can compare him to a League One player. How's that possible?
doesn't make sense.
Speaking of listening right now, I'm sure you can hear the bell. That is the sound that says it's time for our super sub question. This question goes out to each and every one of you out here listening on the space. Of course, if you're listening at home watching right now, please feel free to, participate and answer the question as well. The question of the week, here we go. It is, which one of the following players was not part of the West Ham band celebration? The antics for Lingard's goal against Spurs in February of 2020. Which of the following players was not part of the West Ham band celebration antics for Lingard's goal against Spurs in February 2021? Options are A, Pablo Fornals, B, Declan Rice, C, Said Benrahma. You have to do research for this one. There's no way. But the first person to answer correctly gets to win this one.
It's good.
Yep, so for sure, I need all your entries to come in with the hashtag Budweiser Kings of Football Show, as well as Budweiser KOF Super Sub. That is the KOF Super Sub. That is the hashtag I need you to use. Winners will be chosen at random. The cash prize available is 50,000 naira. Trust me, that's one full tank ready to go. If you understand, you know. Like they say, if you know,
You know.
you know. I have so many things that have been bothering my head. They're not even on the script, so I'm just going to keep throwing them out. We have a few minutes before we go. Muniz, player of the month.
Yep.
Came from nowhere.
Yep.
All of a sudden, can't stop scoring.
Yep.
I'm even saying, yo, Arsenal, if you're looking for a striker, I like this guy.
I like him.
I like his
Yeah, I like
industry.
him.
I like his
I like
effort.
him.
I like his availability. He
Yep.
makes the right runs.
Yep.
He seems very low maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
He's not looking for much. And then when he got his Player of the Month award, that just even, make me fall in love with him. He was in tears. He never thought that would happen to him. I didn't even think he was in the running for that award. Talk to me about, our Player of the Month for the month of March.
I think you've described him really well. He's a really good player. I like strikers who are out and about. It reminds me of Desire, when she was playing.
Talk
I like
about
players,
it.
who
Talk
get,
about it.
yeah,
Talk
who,
about
who
it.
get involved, who are good players.
Yeah.
Typically the way strikers are stereotyped as though all they can do is score.
Yeah.
But most strikers actually start from being defenders, midfielders, and I like strikers who can play the game, and he's one of those.
Yeah.
Also, his range of finishing is really, really good to see.
Yeah.
Which goal was it? The acrobatic one?
Yeah.
Just a couple of,
Wow.
really, really good
Wow.
finish. Overall, he's a likable guy. He's a guy who you feel like, in the right environment, there is a lot more for him to produce. I think that I probably would be at Fulham for maybe one more year before the big boys, start knocking. Plays well next season, clearly the big boys will start, sniffing around him, and he will go. I should add as well, because he matters in the game. He's very good looking, and that had
Marketability.
absolutely that adds to the
100%.
appeal of big clubs, coming for players.
Definitely. Desire, I have a question for you. It's our Joker question for the week as we round up the show. For all those on our X Space, thank you all for being a part of it. Please make sure you participate in all the competitions that we've listed out. Get on our platform, which is, of course, thefootballpredictor.com, and you will get a chance to win ₦1 million, 500,000, or 250,000. We also give away an opportunity for someone to win 50,000 naira, as well as 15,000 naira for 3 people, as well as 5,000 naira credit for those that will come out as top of our leaderboard for this week. The question for you is this: which manager gives the best press conference? It doesn't have to be now, or should we limit it to just the managers now? Because if you go back in time, there's so many great ones. But consistently gives a good press conference. I could start for you if you want. I would
Right
say
now, this season?
I would say you're in club.
I think that right now, in terms of the person who knows how to press the right buttons of the media to say the things that they like, I actually think it's Ange. Big Ange at Tottenham. He knows that he talks down money, talks up performances. There's a way that he talks, that I know that the media laps up.
Yeah.
So in some sense, it's interesting in that way because
He knows how
the
to
game
work
that he's
the room.
playing. Yeah, I think that Pep's
Sarcasm.
sarcasm also, I don't think he provides, if you ask me, enough insight into the game.
Hence the sarcasm, because
I think that he
you would
deflects.
ask him for what you know that if he took his time to give you an in-depth analysis, you learn a lot.
I think that is rooted in 2 things.
Right.
1, you can see that he's very introverted. 2, you can also see that despite the fact that he's been in England for
playing
7
games.
years, his English is still quite limited. You look at Jurgen Klopp. So for instance, when Mourinho came to England, within the first year of being in England, he was speaking in colorful English. We're not just speaking about speaking good English. He was speaking colorfully. He would describe things really, really well. He could provide insight while
As to
speaking English. He's
what
not
he
just
was
making
saying, yeah.
comments. I don't think that Pep has cultivated his English to
So
that
who
level.
would you
that
say
limit-
gives the best press conference?
Right now, in terms of press conferences, I enjoy watching Eddie Howe, Big Ange, from a knowing the game he's playing point of view and seeing that this guy is playing it well. Ange is going to be at Tottenham 5 years. He won't win any title and he'll be fine.
So from a content consumption point of view, who would I enjoy their press conference the most?
Arteta these days, if he's in the mood.
Right.
As it's like over the past 5-6 games, you can see he's become very reticent. Clearly, pressure is building. But you take away all of those things. It's quite. I like managers who speak colorfully, even though English is not their first language. It's like that as well. We'll describe things, we'll talk about it, try to play. He provides insight into his thinking.
Yeah.
With Guardiola, you really don't get an insight into his thinking. Why I don't generally like Jurgen Klopp is that his mood is heavily dependent on results.
Right.
If Liverpool don't play well or they lose, it's going to be very, very acidic. when they play.
Yeah.
When they are playing very well,
Yeah, I agree.
he talks around and he's happy sometimes, But generally, I think that right now I enjoy watching Eddie Howe. I like Arteta, and like I said, Big Ange, because I know the game he's playing. I know that game.
For you, who would it be? The most interesting press conference to watch?
I think I'll give it to Pep because most times he's very logical. Like he wouldn't want to, throw his team under the bus
Of
just
course
like
not.
some other
Yeah.
managers, and then he would want to, sing the praises of the other teams. Like that's before the game.
play mind game.
Yeah,
The
mind
better
game,
he
yeah.
beats them, the
Yeah.
more complimentary he is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe he gets into their head or something like that, and he will use that advantage.
I see Arteta taking
so-
some of that as
so
well.
he
When he was
he
about
plays
to
a
play
lot of
Sheffield
mind
United,
games.
so I learned a lot from the Sheffield United coach, and he says what? He learns how to go to the bathroom.
So
But yeah, so
That-
Pep for you,
It's a tough job. for
it's
the
a tough
manager.
job.
It is.
I wouldn't
It
take it
is.
in my. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy, to be honest.
For the kind of monies that they pay, I'll do it though.
If you give me a share of it, I would encourage you to go and do it as well.
It is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I must say to you, I've actually had an interesting show today. It was an honor, a pleasure to have you in studio. The last time I was watching you on the screen, having a conversation, you were in your car, finding the best position to at least give us your time. We appreciate you for constantly doing this, not just for us, but for the sport
Absolutely.
as well.
always a
Sharing your
pleasure.
insights and, of course, giving people the pleasure of getting to hear from you with your wealth of experience. We can't say enough about you coming here on the
And I
show.
should add, I think that Desire is a great example to young girls and young boys who are playing the game,
100%.
in the
Yeah.
sense that you can play the game at a very high level, but also educate yourself enough in such a way that
After
during your
the
career,
game.
after your career, you can engage in
100%.
conversations and be able to do
100%.
other things. So I think that she's done a lot of work, not just on the pitch, but also, off the pitch, elevating herself.
It's also important to
Thank you.
work on yourself.
Absolutely, and I think that, like I said, I think it's a great example to young boys and young girls to say that playing the game is
It's
not
one
an
thing.
excuse for you to be educated. Have when you speak to Desire on the phone, she's always very courteous, very pleasant,
100%.
very polite.
100%.
It's
Thank
really
you.
refreshing to deal with her.
Thank
100%. Please
I
keep
really
keep
appreciate
on being the inspiration that you are to a lot of us, and of course those coming behind us as well. We love you. I'm
you
not supposed
so
to be saying,
much.
but we love you too, Biola.
Of course you do. Send me
for
money,
having
Jimmy.
me.
What?
Put your money where your mouth is.
Why? How did we get there so quickly?
What do they say? This they show love.
So long. I'm showing you love here. I love you. Thanks for coming on the show again. It's
Always a
always great
pleasure.
bantering with you. Your wealth of knowledge. I don't think people appreciate how deep it goes because we only scratch the surface on the show here. But we'll be trying
you.
as far as we can to go deeper and get people to understand how much of a football aficionado you are.
Thank you, bro.
And you inspire me.
Thanks, bro.
Always to do my research, do my homework before ever I get in front of a microphone or a camera.
Thank you,
Ladies
brother.
and gentlemen, for our supporters out there, everybody out there, look, if you're an Arsenal fan, keep supporting Arsenal. If you're a Liverpool fan, root for your team no matter what. And if you're a Man City fan, do
Wait.
they even exist?
Jimmy, what's going on this show?
What happened?
We didn't discuss
Never
United and Bob.
mentioned it.
Yeah,
What the?
we need to discuss the people that are making progress, upward progress.
No. We need to have a
People
conversation
that
after
their
the
fans
show.
can expect them to win.
United have a
People
game
that-
again.
that-
Like you have me, you have Desire
Have
and I.
us, yeah.
Ladies
I
and
don't
gentlemen,
discuss it.
and on that
May
note, I'd
Aston
like to
Villa
say I want to let
Oh
you
my
go and
goodness.
not bother you with these less important topics that there is in here. Please keep it locked right here for all those watching on TV, wherever you are, Abia, Akwa Ibom, Imo State, wherever it
over
is,
Nigeria.
Enugu, in the eastern part of Nigeria. You can catch us on your TV screens and make sure you keep it locked. And of course, remember that Budweiser is always going to make sure the world is yours to take. Thanks for watching. I am Jimmy. Peace, love, and respect.